One, two, three. Good evening, good evening. Hotep Habarigani, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sister Khadija, and we're one of the organizers on the Victor White for Justice. And before we start any further, we would like to thank everybody for participating. This is troubling times. However, our voice is our weapon. As long as we remember that, our voice is our weapon. We're going to go ahead and start off with Reverend. We would like to also have Jennifer Reed, and Jennifer Reed is going to come up for a few minutes. And before Jennifer, we would like to thank Robbie Bethel, the NAACP, Geraldine Brown, Janelle Shagwar, our distinguished guest, Brother Tukuna, Malala El Shabazz, Sister Jamila, Sister God is New, Angie, Brother Wallace, and so many others that have helped us put this together. We want to thank the community. And next speaker would be Jennifer.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Reed, and I'm one of the administrators for the Facebook page Justice for Victor White. So I was asked to just say a few words tonight to open the vigil. And in a few minutes, just to give you kind of a little rundown, I think Reverend White, Victor's father, will be up here. And after Reverend White, then if you haven't lit your candles, you'll have the chance to do that, and we'll have a moment of silence. Is that right? No, okay, forget it. There was a change of plans. So first I'd like to just thank each one of you for coming out tonight. So we're all here for our own reasons. Maybe you knew Victor personally. I never had the honor of meeting him, but I've heard a lot about him. Victor White was a musician. He was a family man. He was a new father. He was a son. He was a brother. He was a hard worker, and he was a kind soul. Victor's death was untimely, there's no doubt. He was on a good path. And when we began really publicizing the Facebook page, we were discussing our approach. How could we appeal to the most people in order to get the word out? Because let's be honest, we could have taken a hard-edged approach and driven some folks away, or we could stress race as an issue. I mean, it is an obvious issue. But by making it about us versus us, or people versus people, or citizens versus citizens, and neighbors versus neighbors, what do we plan to accomplish? Thank you. Shortly after the BP Deepwater Horizon oil disaster in 2010, my friend and I wrote a book that focused on the contradictions between what BP said and the facts that emerged, the truth that ultimately came to light. And I see a lot of similarities between that situation and Victor's case. It would have been easy for us to make it about us versus them on a personal level, say liberals versus conservatives, or the haves versus the have-nots. But when people start taking a big issue and they make it personal, most folks who can't relate stop listening. The Victor White case, the case of Victor White's untimely death, is about us versus the system. Every single one of us. Because let's face it, when it comes to something as simple as a speeding ticket, it's our word against theirs. In fact, the system has made it really easy for us to concede. Just admit you're wrong, fill out this little form, and just send us your money. Well, in this case, it's not that easy. Because there are so many questions revolving around Victor's death. For example, here's a big one. How is it the authorities have different facts but came to the same conclusion? He was shot in the back. Nope. He was shot in the chest. Well, either way, let's call it a suicide. Well, that's a really convenient conclusion for officials to reach. Then it shifts the blame from the officers involved to the victim himself. Never mind that Victor was patted down twice, and that is the point of a pat-down, is to find weapons. Never mind that Victor's face was free of lacerations when he was arrested, but covered in lacerations when his father was called to identify his body. I spoke earlier about why we're here. This is why I'm here. I'm here to get justice for Victor White and all those who perish at the hands of a police officer. the same hands they used to take an oath to protect and to serve. The sad reality is any one of us could have been Victor White, but no one should ever be in Victor's position, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of their religion, regardless of their immigration status, their income, their education, and I could go on with lots of different ways to keep dividing us. But instead, let's come together on this. We've had enough police brutality, we've had enough bad cops, and we've had enough Victor Whites, and we won't stand for one more untimely death. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Next we have Brother Takuna, Malana El-Shabazz, an activist out in the Lafayette area, who's also been a forefront with the case, helping Reverend Brown out with protests. Brother Takuna.
Thank you, Sister Khadijah. As I listen to the prayer that sends a message for peace, I am Takuna Malana El-Shabazz, President of CCBE, Community Council of Black Elders. I listen to the word peace, and in the spirit of the prayer, I would like to make just a few short words. Whenever you experience something such as this, there's a reality that we must face. Wherever there's the absence of justice, the presence of peace is negated by natural law. We may not want to face those harsh realities, but I'm going to repeat again. Where there is the absence of justice, the presence of peace is negated by natural law. Now, when we look at Victor White and the murder surrounding the circumstances of his murder, when we look at other young black men like Trayvon, the brother Eric out of New York, when we look at Michael Brown, where is the justice? How can there be peace? And from a spirit of again seeking peace, let me mention these few words. Death has never carried a message for the one that has been killed. Death has never carried a message for the one that has been killed. The message in death has always been for the living. So the question that needs to be asked and answered tonight, what is the message in the Victor White's killing? What are the circumstances? Where is the justice? The message is not for Victor White, for there's another power and a greater power that has control over Victor White. But we are the living. What is the message in his death? Was he slain for the dead, or was he slain because there's a message for the living? What should you be getting from the death of Victor White? One being, you better recognize you're in a war. You better recognize there's a war against young black men across America. You better recognize that not only is that the message, but you better recognize and ask yourself, who is sending the message?
Thank you.
Sometimes God takes something that is good to arouse you to the reality of the message he's trying to send. This is called a vigil. By definition, a vigil can mean a time in which you peacefully gather to demonstrate a particular cause. But a vigil can also mean a time spent awake when you should have been sleeping or was sleeping. So a vigil sometimes is to get you up, to make you awake to the realities that you've been asleep to. If we want to really help out the Victor White family, if we really want to be supportive of the Victor White death in terms of seeking justice, then the message should be to the living. We must, first of all, commit to a new idea and a new agenda in terms of how our community is going to be perceived by others. We must raise the value of black life in our own communities. We must create a culture that tells others outside of our community, when you touch one, you touch all. When you destroy one, you destroy us all. And when the wrath of all of us come to a central point seeking justice, then justice will come. But as long as we are a people that's asleep, then people like Victor White can be killed because the value on his life is very little. The value of black life does not carry much weight. The value of black life must be valued by us first. And then we can be in a position to demand justice and peace for anyone who challenged or violate the value of our communities, of our lives. My heart goes out to the White family. But I worked in the juvenile facilities for 15 years. And I see too many of our young brothers and sisters locked up for little or nothing, misused and mistreated by the system. A condition they come out of that has not yet changed because we don't want to recognize the larger picture and the larger problem. And that is, there is no value for black life in the black communities. And unless we demand that black life be more valuable, more valued, first by us, then we have a weak position when we cry out for justice and peace from others who are born and designed by their very history to do injustice to us. You cannot expect justice from the unjust. When we use words like justice and peace, justice and peace does not come from you flirting with danger, flirting with danger through ignorance and denial. We must embrace a love of self. Victor White's death may or may not receive justice in the court. If I was a betting man, that's not a bet I would take. The question is, what is it that you, the living, will learn from the message of his death? Will we continue to allow the senseless killing of our children to go unanswered? Listen, brothers and sisters, someone had a conversation with me yesterday about the circumstances in Ferguson. Why then are black people rising up in Ferguson? It's because of another young slain black boy. black young man. Why? Why are they rising in Ferguson? It's because much of the elderly my age, and that generation before me, and that generation that came right after me, were passive. They did not have a high value on black life. But you see that young broad, Victor's age, you're not going to take a black life in the black community without a cost today. That's why you're here. That's the message. You may be a handful tonight, but the hearts around America hears the cry of the white family, because they join a list of unfortunate mothers and fathers who had their sons and some their daughters taken away. We just had a young lady shot to death by the cops in Breaux Bridge. We done nothing. We have other atrocities in our community that we know about, and we done nothing. And until we raise the value of black life in our community, you cannot expect your oppressor and the enemy to raise the scale of value for you. So I say to you, brothers and sisters, once again, where there is the absence of justice, the presence of peace is negated by natural law, and God is the messenger on that. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Brother Takuna Malana El Shabazz. We have Reverend Brown that's coming up, and right after Reverend Brown is going to be Mr. White. We would also like to say we need to thank the community for helping us out with candles, water, ice, you name it. The community came out and they done such a fantastic job. And Renee, Robbie, Janelle, Geraldine, all of you all, we thanking y'all for the bottom of our heart. Also, Troy D, Kevin, for letting us use the facility. And we want to thank everybody. Next we have Reverend Brown, who organized one of the first protests here in Iberia Parish, dealing with Mr. White family.
No justice?
No peace.
No. Oh Lord, y'all can't say that. No justice?
No peace.
Oh Lord, y'all at a Saints game. Y'all would. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
I'm gonna ask that Reverend White and his wife come stand on side of me. Y'all don't mind? Y'all can come on each side. Appreciate it. Stand in the middle. Now, if y'all love justice and y'all love freedom, I want you to shout it from the top of your voice. No justice?
No peace.
No justice?
No peace.
And the reason why the international cry for justice, no peace, is that they want us to live in peace without justice.
Amen.
This is your problem. And I thank God for Reverend White and his beautiful wife being here. This is your problem. Your problem, it was said in 1968, it's the color line. Your problem is the color line. Your problem basically is not because you're poor, because there's a lot of white folks poor. The problem is because you being African American, they think they can take advantage of you. I think it's time that they put the past behind them. They realize that we are not giving up. First of all, I want to say, I don't want to forget Michael Jones, who was beat to death in Eberville Parish. Y'all know about that. I don't want to forget about Damon Abraham, who was tased 10 times and beat to death in Baldwin, Louisiana. And many others. The Danziger 7, Glover in New Orleans, who was shot in the head 30 feet away, shot him in the head and killed him 5 days after Katrina. All of these and many, many, many more. The brother in Arkansas, handcuffed behind his back. Police say he pulled a guy, shot himself in the back. So all these frivolous type of accusations that black men are just taking their lives. We don't want to live, y'all. We just shooting ourselves in the back. Like Reverend Sharpton said, huh? What it was, a magic, a musician, some kind of great Houdini, huh? Took his hand, took a gun, now took the whole gun, twisted from around his back, and shot himself through the nipple. You know, y'all know that's not true.
That's not true. I've been arrested and it's tight.
Exactly. Hold on y'all comments. I know I'm going to fire you up in a few minutes. I'm about to close. But what we got to do is we must seek the federal intervention by Obama in there, because once whoever else get in there, if we go back to, I won't say all white folks is bad. It's bad, but if a white president come in, then you got a white U.S. attorney, and then you got no sympathy whatever, because, you know, even though President Obama, he's for all the people, huh? He talked about Michael Brown situation. You got presidents like Bush would have never mentioned Michael Brown. Okay, so why we got Eric Holder, and we got people like Al Sharpton who can talk to Eric Holder, U.S. Attorney Eric Holder. Now that we got the inside connect, we got to move that the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office, take over all these cases. Ain't no local jurisdiction, nowhere in Louisiana, nowhere across this country should be handling no police brutality case. Bill Haney, you can't handle it. Huh? The police chief, the state, hold on, y'all, please, because I get off track when I hear people talking. The state police, Emery, he cannot investigate this murder because all in cahoots. Go back and tell Emery that all of y'all in cahoots, y'all friends, y'all go to dinners together, y'all share at fraternity parties and all, y'all working together hand in hand. That's the reason why we need an outside intervention to come in and take on these devils. It's not because Brother White was doing anything wrong. Just the color of his skin said he was doing something wrong. And then when they stereotype every black man that walks through the street, they stereotype them all. All of us criminals, Rev. Huh? They say all of us criminals, Rev. We sick of racial profiling. Huh? We sick of racial. Matter of fact, I told a cop, "Are you racial profiling me?" He snapped, "What? You calling me a racist?" I said, "What you stopped me for? You didn't take your temp tag and put it in your light, put your light, in the back of your license plate." I said, "You know what? White folk ride around all day with temp tags in the back of their doggone window, and y'all don't stop them. Come on now. No, you saw a black man. You know what? They got y'all brainwashed to fool you. Say, oh, you know what? If you get a little education and you get a little caliber and you talk a little proper like a white man and you talk like a little white girl, you know what? They won't stop you that much. And you know what? If they stop you, you're supposed to just sit there like a frog on a log and don't say nothing. Well, I come to let you know that as a U.S. citizen of these United States, I'm going to speak my mind. Because Dr. King fought for me, and Rosa Parks fought for me, Fannie Lou Hamer fought for me, Ralph Abernathy fought for me, I'm not going to sit idly by while my brothers and sisters are shot down in the streets around this country. I say we need a Ferguson here. White folks scared of Ferguson. We need a Ferguson here. No, we don't need the looting. We don't need the going in the store burning. But then what you call militant aggressors, they're going to go out there and do what they got to do. When they're in the struggle. So basically what Reverend Brown is saying is that you cannot, somebody done fell out. Will somebody go help over here? But in my closing, right now we reacting to a situation, but we must be proactive. Revolution is constant. It's not a part-time struggle. It's a full-time movement. So we just can't just come out when something happens. We got to be proactive 24 hours a day because the enemy don't sleep. I said the enemy don't sleep. He don't sleep, but God don't sleep either. So we got to be about God's business. Is that right? So I want you to say no justice, no peace, loud and clear. No justice. No justice. No justice. Thank you and God bless you. I'm the Reverend Raymond Brown. Come see me after the meeting.
Brother Wallace has 3 minutes, and then we're gonna go with Mr. White.
Reverend Brown.
Thank you, Sister Khadijah, and I thank everyone for showing up here tonight. You know, all the things that I see as going on in our community is for the lack of us voting. What we need to do is vote these people out of office that we didn't understand in our past of early voting. If we make sure that we are registered to vote and vote the ills that's in our community out of our community, we gonna make sure something happens. We could talk, we could do whatever we want to do. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to register to vote because I might have to go to jury duty. That's not the problem. The problem is we got to understand our electoral process. And if we don't understand our electoral process by now, shame on us. You know, we can all say, I don't want to vote. They do what they want to do. But guess what? Your vote count, my vote count, all our vote count. In Ferguson, 77% black. You know, and they looting, they doing everything they possibly can to get around what they should be doing. I would have been there with boxes of voter registration cards and voting the ills out of my community. And this is what I'm all about. Vote the ills out of your community. And until we understand that, every vote counts. We got 6 days to early vote. We got 1 day to vote. Let's make sure that we get out and make sure our vote counts. Thank you. And on that note, you know, hey, we got a very important election coming up. Let's make sure we get out there and vote. Make sure that our neighbors, our household is registered to vote. If voting didn't mean nothing, I guarantee you, they wouldn't be trying to suppress the vote today. Thank you.
If they clean that jailhouse up, I was in there for 9 months. I was in there for 9 months.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you all
Kill us in the jailhouse.
for coming out.
Kill us in the
We appreciate everything that you all have done for us and the support, as well as your encouraging words. But let me say this, is that initially, when all this happened, and we drove from Alexandria to New Iberia, and I went to the Iberia Medical Center, I was told that my son was being transported, his body was being transported to the Lafayette Forensic Center, Louisiana Forensic Center, Lafayette, Louisiana. I was denied access to see my son. And I asked them, how did they identify my son? I was told they had my son's ID. Well, in fact, my son's ID, now it's suspicious now. My son's ID, in fact, was in his personal belongings that we had left in Alexandria. And we found out later when we went through it that it was there. And as I asked them again, the investigator, to allow me to see my son, because you saying that, but I want to make sure that it's my son. And so when I was told, we waited over an hour. Actually, it was over 2 hours before we actually got to see him, but they told me that a coroner would show up and they would allow me to see my son. Well, Lieutenant Trahan and Coroner Rivet, his last name was Rivet, they appeared. And they told me that I could only see my son from the neck up. I couldn't see any other part of his body from the neck up. That's what I was told. And so therefore, I asked them again, why wouldn't I be able to do that? So they told me also only one person was going to be able to go back there. Myself or my wife, I had to make a decision. But one. So when I went back to see my son, the second thing I noticed when I got back there was from the top of his left eyebrow all the way down past his jawbone, there was a mark. It wasn't a laceration, it was a wound. And I seen it, and I asked him, well, where did that come from? How did my son die? What happened to my son? And I was told by the coroner that I needed to talk to the state trooper. They was having an investigation. When I asked Lieutenant Trahan, he told me that the coroner really would answer my question. Everyone told me that it was under investigation. It was pending investigation. And that's what I kept getting. So then as we left from there, we drove back to Alexandria. And Pastor Darren Sofa's family, friends, but he told me to go on to the Louisiana State Police, go on to Facebook and look at the Louisiana State Police website. And when I looked on that, it was an article about my son. The press release said that my son had shot himself in the back, saying that he was involved in a fight on Lewis Street or whatever. And so therefore, and I called them because I was outraged. I was angry because the fact is that they didn't tell me. I said, now everybody know, wide world web, everyone knows that y'all said my son killed himself and shot himself in the back. But I know for a fact, and I'm standing by that, my son did not kill himself. See, but what's going on now, my son has a daughter that's a year old. They're going to have to come one day and say, Papa, what happened to my father? I have to give an explanation. We want the truth. We want justice, and that's why we got Attorney Cal Paul Lexon, and then we got as a co-counsel Benjamin Crump, because of the fact that we want the truth. We want the truth. We're waiting on the truth, and we're going to demand the truth. See, because the siblings, I got 8 other children, and there is no closure. Can't be any closure, because of the fact is that we don't know the truth. So the truth is being left from us, and so what they're saying about him killing himself, he didn't kill himself. He did not kill himself. As I said, I stand by that. I talked to my son that Sunday morning. I talked to my son. He was looking at a vehicle. He was going to buy a vehicle. He was going to move into an apartment. All these things was going on. So why would my son take his own life with all this going on? So now, again, so every time I said and I looked at them, and then we started realizing that they didn't want me to see it. Denied me access. And then you come and say he committed suicide. You know, so again, all I want them to do is to let the truth be told. Let the truth come out, and whoever's responsible, then let justice be served. You know, I mean, again, we're struggling, we're hurting, and we're still grieving. Because there's no end here, there is no closure. You see, so what we're asking from you all to continue supporting the effort. Not just for us. You know, as they were saying, not just for us, but it's happening all over. All over. So we'll stand here tonight to ask us to continue to yell out, shout out, scream out that we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time for a change, and change must start with us. I know, and again, I'm still disgusted. There's a distaste in my mouth about what's going on here, because they have not talked to us, haven't spoken to us. Every time I find out something regarding my son's death is by media, looking on the website, reading the newspaper articles, watching television, seeing someone that says something, but no one has contacted myself, my wife, nor our attorneys. It's sinking into me. But we appreciate you all coming out. Thank you all so very much.
Yes, indeed, we want to thank everybody. In closing, we have Reverend. In closing, we have Reverend Milton out of Lafayette with the Imani Temple 49 will have us with a closing prayer. Reverend White. Okay, Reverend Sophus, can you come up, sir?
Amen. Amen. Amen.
God bless you, people of God, today. We certainly understand the cause of why we're here. We certainly agree with the cause of why we're here. And I want you to understand that could be any one of you in here today, including me. As a pastor, I have a son. I have several sons. Could have been any. So it's just time for us to stand together and fight the good fight of faith. We understand that it's a demonic battle. And we're going to have to fight it in peace and in prayer. But we're going to fight it in power. It takes a strong people to stand against injustice. And all that is the essence of what all this is about, justice. You want what is right and what is true. And the Bible said that if God be for us, hello someone, who can be against us? So we must understand that God is for what is fair and what is real and what is right. And so we just got to keep God as our center, focus, and never forget Victor White Jr. Don't let his blood lay on the ground and scream out for justice. We can do something about it. So we stand together, unified in the effort of trying to get the truth. And we're going to do that by persevering. God bless you and God keep you.
We do have Reverend Milton that's going to say something. Also, the closing prayer, we have Reverend Milton that's going to do the closing prayer, but we have the mother of Mr. Michael that wanted to, Mike Jones, wanted to say something briefly and let it be known that the Department of Justice will be here. They will be in the newspaper or by the radio or by email, text. People will know what's going on when they're going to come. Excuse me.
My uncle Michael Jones was killed 5 years ago in New Iberia Sheriff's Department. The officers took his life, but apparently said that, again, he committed suicide. He killed himself. But as you can see in these pictures, he was shackled from his hands to his feet. So how did that happen? Questions are still being asked 5 years later, but no answers have been said. Nothing. Louis Ackles been on TV accusing my uncle of biting one of the wardens at the jailhouse and saying that my uncle was causing a disturbance, but yet he was shackled from his hands to his feet. All the family of Michael Jones wants is justice and answers as to what happened, and for all these young black men to stop having falsified. Oh, I can't speak. I'm so sorry. For all our young black men, lives to be spared and saved. That's people, children, brothers, uncles, friends. It's our family members whose lives who's being taken. Justice for all. Thank you.
And yes, indeed, we're going to go ahead and tack on with this particular case. In closing, Reverend Milton is going to say a closing prayer. We appreciate everybody for their patience. Mr. White's daughter got sick, so that's what the ambulance is for. If you could see in this Ziploc bag, this is some canisters, some tear gas canisters that was thrown on the people in New Iberia for the Sugarcane Festival. I had a whole garbage can, and I have been saving these, waiting to go to court. Never been to court, so just to show you how corrupt this city is. It's our city. However, we're the ones that have to make this city better. We're the ones that got to kick them out so quick till it's unreal. And that's where your vote come in. That's where you're supposed to be registered voters to vote and take care of these corrupt, no good police officers and others that's in Iberia Parish. But I just wanted you to know I have been saving a garbage bag of tear gas canisters, waiting to go to court, never got a day in court yet. And yes, indeed.
It's Audrey Stewart. I'm with the ACLU of Louisiana. I'm the Advocacy and Outreach Manager. The ACLU is a national organization, and the ACLU of Louisiana is a statewide organization. We work to ensure that the constitutional rights of all people living in Louisiana are respected. ACLU has been around since 1918. It's the oldest civil liberties organization in the country.
think about the Candlelight Vigil tonight for Mr. Victor White?
We were honored to be here with so many people. We, of course, feel like family and communities have a right to understand what's happened with their family members if they pass away in police custody, and that people have a right to be safe and have their constitutional rights protected during police encounters. We're concerned that the White family has received so little information and that there's been so much conflicting information about what's happened here.
As a representative of the ACLU, what role do you see the ACLU playing in a case like Victor White case?
We certainly would like to lend support to the community going forward and to monitor what's going on and to support the family in taking action as they move forward. Certainly the right to stay alive and have your rights protected during a police encounter is a constitutional right, so what has happened with him is a deep concern for us. And we would love to support the community and the family in making sure that they get access to information about what's happened and that ultimately they have a just resolution.
Name again?
Audrey Stewart with the ACLU of Louisiana.
Thank you. Reverend Brown, what you got out of the Candlelight Vigil for Mr. Victor White tonight?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of unity here. That's number one. Number two, we had some great speakers. Brother Jacuni, who spoke about cleaning up ourselves, organizing, dealing with the issues that impacts us as a black community. I talked about the criminal justice system and police brutality, racial profiling, and Victor White got up there and talked about his son's death. So, and many others got up and talked. Brother Wallace got up and spoke also, and many others. But what I gather is that we must keep this fire burning. We can't let up. We can't give up. We got to be strong, and we got to continue to organize. That's the most important thing, is to organize. And like I reiterate, all cases involving police killings and beatings must be handled by the U.S. Justice Department. The local jurisdiction, DAs, state police, city DAs cannot handle this. They are in cahoots through your human nation. They cannot handle it. Go ahead.
Brown, what other situations in the Victor White case that you foresee in the future that are going to move the case along further to come to a conclusion?
Well, basically, we're looking at 2016 and the 16 elections for president. And my position is this here: if we don't get nothing done in 15 and get these things on the agenda, whoever take over the White House, whoever take over the Justice Department, they are the ones that either gonna move us forward or push us backwards. Right now, I think, don't quote me, say I know, I think we're moving in the right direction with Eric Holder. I don't know. But right now, we do have a U.S. Justice Department that is listening and visiting. He went to Ferguson. Need to come here and deal with this crisis and other crises of this nature. So that's what I'm saying, is that the U.S. Justice Department is out of the hands of Phil Haney and Leon Canizero and many of them. This is out of their hand. This must be handled by the U.S. Justice Department and independent prosecutor. That's the only way we're going to get justice.
Anything else you want to say to
Well, I just want to say that, you can contact me go to my website, www.nationalactionnow.org, and you can find my information, contact me, and let's just keep the movement going. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Tell us your name, and I know you're from New Orleans. Tell us what brings you down to the what brings you down to the Victor White Candlelight?
Okay, my name is Daphne Cross. I'm coming from New Orleans, Louisiana. And what brings me down here is I have 3 young African-American young men, young boys, and Victor White, that could have been any of my boys. So I feel the urgency of us sticking together and us getting justice for an unjust situation.
Okay, and how was the event to you as far as the organization?
Well, to me, it was a very powerful event because as I did not know There was another young man, Mike, here in the Iberia area that was done the same way 5 years ago, and his family was able to come here and involve themselves and encourage the Victor White family about sticking together and, like I said, getting justice for now I personally know 2 so-called classified homicides, but we all know that it's what they did. They killed a young black man in custody.
Okay. So you're going to continue to support the movement?
Of course. I'm always posting on Facebook. Anytime, this is my second time coming to an event. If my time permit, I would definitely come and support.
Well, thank you so much, Ms.
All right.
Daphne.
Thank you.
Okay, Attorney Milton, Pastor Milton, Imani Temple from Lafayette, Louisiana. Tell us about your visit here to New Iberia to the Victor White Candlelight.
Well, I just believe that it's quite important that no matter where there is injustice, as Dr. King said, where there is injustice, it's a threat to justice anywhere. So we need to, particularly in Lafayette, in the greater Lafayette area, which includes the New Iberia area, we need to develop a critical mass of African American people who are willing to come together, pool their resources, their mind strength, their mind thought, their faith, and all of the gifts that God has given to us as a people, to pool that together to find ways to lift up our people, no matter whether it's oppression as a result of police brutality, and such as we believe the case here in New Iberia, or whether it's economic injustice, social and psychological warfare that we've been suffering as a people. But we must come together, and that's why I stand here today with the Victor White family and with the people of this community who are traumatized to know and come to have to face such circumstances that are somehow unbelievable in so many words of the alleged suicide. So I just believe as a Christian that when I walk with Christ, I'm not just walking to holler and shout hallelujah, but I'm walking to bring about justice and bring about righteousness. And I believe that that is a thing that God will judge all of us on. Not just our commission, but our omissions, our failing to act, our failing to move when it's time to move. Not only for self-interest, but for coming to understand that I am because we are. And when I stand as an individual and not see myself in the context of community, then I fail in understanding the reality that I must be about my brother's keeper. I must be about looking out for others as the best way of preserving myself.
And you, in your legal training, do you see any conclusion to this case?
Well, I do believe that, in my church, we don't separate secular from sacred. We don't. So while I may give a legal opinion, it's going to be based with and coupled with my faith. And what I've come to realize when we say as Christians that the light shall always overtake the darkness. And even in my law practice, that's what I believe in. I believe that if I no matter what someone tries to do that's wrong, if I fight to bring to light what is right, then it will reveal and people will be able to discern righteousness. So in this case, not seeing any of the police reports, not being privy to anything other than what I hear over the news and commentators, it just seems like an amazing story. An amazing story that I think that the facts will pan out, and in the end, there will be justice. I'm just convinced of that.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Brother Jay, for your work.